Oh, for fun.
Yeah, see.
That'll be warm.
Hi, Chris.
Other Chris, I'm sorry. Oh, we gotta get you that information.
Oh, yeah, well, I'll do that right now.
Hello, everybody. It's 4 o'clock, 4:30 rather.
Yeah.
I know, I caught that.
4:30.
July 11th, 2017. I'm going to call this meeting of the Public Service Commission to order. Could I have a motion, please, concerning our agenda?
I move to approve the agenda.
Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the same sign. That motion carries. Could I have a similar motion with regard to the consent agenda?
Move to approve the consent agenda.
Thank you, Chris. Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the same sign. Any customers to be heard? I see none. Any recognitions, William?
No, sir, not tonight.
I like the sir thing. Keep that up. Any old business?
No, sir.
Ooh.
Members of the City Council, and I don't expect sir from you, Heidi, but welcome.
Thank you. All I would say is that items that were on the council's agenda last night were passed without any comment, so
Okay. So nothing to report.
nothing else, no?
Okay, thank you. Members of the Public Service Commission. John?
I maybe should have brought this up a little bit earlier, but I noticed on the bills of charge-off that we had miscellaneous bills from July of '09 as far as a descriptor, and that was a little, could you get an explanation on what and why that would be?
Nancy, you want to come up?
I'll call Nancy.
Nancy Lund, Admin and Finance Manager. Commissioner Regala, I will need to go and look that up. I don't have that detail in front of me.
Okay, all right.
A lot of times it is things that we've had some arrangements and some payment schedules on where they've made some payments and then stopped making the payments. But I will get that information
Okay, thanks.
rounded up for you.
It was 398.18 on July of '09, and
Yep.
the descriptor was MPS miscellaneous bill.
The good news on the one below that, I do have information on the $2,400. So we've finally been given insurance information on that one, and we will be collecting that 22 too. So we do keep working on them
Good.
if we
Very
can.
good. Thank you, Nancy.
Thank you, Nancy.
Yep.
Anything further, John? Anybody else? Okay, that brings us down to the general manager.
I do not have anything to report.
Well, let me ask you a couple questions, Bill.
Sure.
At our last meeting, we discussed some issues that we were having, customer service related issues or perceived customer service related issues. Have we addressed any of those things? Is there anything further you can tell us about that? I mean, what's happening?
Well, internally, we have addressed some of those issues. I'm trying to think, Nancy might have to help me. The one in particular that we had was a customer that had made some comments online, and I did contact that customer. And it was all about our collection process. Maybe fortunately for us, there was another person, I remember that person was from Savage, Minnesota, that had made a comment about our collection process and that it was basically a normal process and be responsible and pay your bill type of a response. So when I had talked to the customer, she was a little sheepish because she had read that other response. And so we had an interesting conversation, but a real nice conversation about our collection process and, you know, what parts of it she struggled with and what parts of it we could take a look at and maybe make some modifications to it. So, I mean, internally we've had some discussions about our collection process, and we'll continue that. And I don't know if Nancy had any other updates, but.
So the individual customers, I think, have been addressed, and at the staff level, we have been looking at those policies and procedures again, and we are in the process of bringing a report back to the commission just as a review of those policies and procedures that are in place right now. I think it's been about 2.5 years since we last updated the commission on that, so it'll be a good reminder for those that have been here that long, and for the new commissioners, a good look at that policy and how we go through that process and try to be, you know, fair and equitable and still get the job done as far as collecting things.
I think the important thing also, especially with the name services in the middle of our name, that we also recognize that, number one, we're owned by the public, and customer service should be our hallmark. And of course, since I'm not going to be here a lot longer, one of the things, I'm going to renew my objection to our phone system. to the extent that when you pick up the phone to call Moorhead Public Service, talking to somebody at Moorhead Public Service should not be your fourth option. I hate automated phone systems, number one, and number two, I don't think it's out of the realm of possibilities for us to actually have a human being answering the phone. To me, those phone systems are nothing more than a way to hide. And we should be number one on our phone system. We shouldn't be number four. People shouldn't have to wait to talk to somebody from our public service and have all these other choices. But I think that's all part of this whole customer service conversation, and I still feel strongly about that.
It is, and having that word public service in our title, it also makes us the go-to person or the go-to department for a lot of calls that are unrelated to Moorhead Public Service, but
I understand
looking
that
at that
part of the
broader.
discussion, but to that extent, our customers shouldn't be the fourth choice. Our customers should be the first choice. If they are actually calling the wrong department, then we can put them in that direction. But we should be the first choice on our own call system. But again, I hate those systems. David?
I second his comments, you know, and we've talked about this before, and in fact, Bill and I think, had a productive conversation about how it is that we might move toward a live
real human being?
person answering the phone.
You can call
Yeah, I would like to see us do that, too. The other thing that I just wanted to point out, the comments about our collection process really hit home with me, too. I have concerns about it. Shoot, a few years ago, I missed a payment as well, and I thought the process was short, and I thought it was pretty impersonal. And I just think we can do better than just a note on a bill that says somewhere within 10 days or something, we could cut off your service. You know, and no conversation necessarily. We make a couple attempts, but even without a conversation, I don't think we're doing ourselves or the public any favors. And by my math, the real notification time is about 20 days. You know, they get the second bill, and then somewhere in the middle there, they might get cut off. So I sent my concerns to you, Bill. They're in a note. I hope they're in the conversation, but maybe as we get into the strategic, you know, the next strategic session, we dive into this, because I just don't think that we do it with our public necessarily in mind. The collection is important.
We can take a look at that
you
again,
know,
absolutely.
The rates are important, but I tend to think that we're a little quick to jump.
You realize I would have cut you off in 5 days.
Yeah, I know you would have. In
I
fact,
can say that because-
you would have never done business with me in the first
Well,
place.
there's that. Been a real big deposit on that baby. Anyway, and that's happened to me too. And that's when Nancy said, what do we do with people you can't, you know, you're having trouble collecting?
I have automatic payment now.
And that's the option she gave me because she was talking about me.
And we appreciate every single one of our customers that are on automatic payments.
You
So
know,
that's our biggest offering on that is to make it easy for you to pay your bill.
Yeah, but for some people, they don't have the cash flow.
No,
You know, they're
no.
managing their dollars right to the point where they walk in the door, you know, with bills in hand, you know, to
change.
pay. And I just have to appreciate the people that are in that situation where they're waiting for that due date to come. And sometimes the due date comes and they still don't have the cash. And we're not in the business to give away water or to give away electricity, but at the same time, we're kind of in the people business too. So.
Well, and to go one step further, you know, along those same lines, we should distinguish ourselves from other privately owned utilities or the way that other utilities operate. We are owned by our community, and to that extent, customer service shouldn't just be something that trips off our lips very easily. It really should be something we aim for. And I would expect the same thing, and I see Chris is out here, accept the same thing from the city. That's one of the biggest complaints you get, and you know, dealing with the city or dealing with Moorhead Public Service or getting the Moorhead Public Service bill that has all sorts of charges on it that they don't understand. I think you really have to start emphasizing customer service, and that's why I asked those questions. I think, John, did you have your hand up? You have a question?
More of a comment. I hear and understand your comments, but I think the area that we all have to be aware of is that staff has to follow the process, the collection process by law, which isn't very forgiving and a lot of times may not make sense, but in order for them to follow the process correctly, they need to follow the code. So it's a delicate dance of a collection process and still keeping relationships.
Hey,
Right. It is a difficult customer service to offer sometimes.
and I know that
Yeah,
you've heard
there's a
virtually every
balance
excuse
there.
known to man
Yes.
as well, and so has our staff. They do a great job, so don't take my comments as being a
No,
negative.
no, and we do recognize too, I mean, there's a lot of charges on those utility bills, and as those bills increase and the number of, mobile customers we have, such as apartment dwellers, it does become a more difficult task for us to manage those dollars. But we do try to keep that in mind as we go through the process.
Any further comments or questions?
Just one comes to mind. Heidi, I guess this is something, too, that we could be discussing together, because, we get the calls, and we tend to do the customer service on the whole bill. And so many lines on the bill are various city fees and wastewater fees and collection fees and light fees. And I don't even know what a security light fee, but I know I'm paying one for about $4.50 a month.
That'd be your street light fee.
Yeah, well, no, it's in addition to that.
Oh, it's security
one.
light? Okay,
Yeah,
that's a
yeah.
personal
Yeah,
light. Yep.
I don't know what it's for.
I wouldn't
Okay.
feel
I have no idea what it's for, but I pay it every month. But it is one of those things where I think we could visit together, too, about how it is that we're presenting, all of these various fees into this bill. I think fully a third, if not more, of my bill is more city-oriented, especially during, heating seasons or non-heating seasons. But we ought to talk about that when we meet as liaisons to each other.
The conversation regarding fees and billing has been brought up a couple times at strategic planning, so the people are talking about it, city, so it may be the right time to get our group of four together and have that discussion.
And I think customers are talking about it.
Yeah.
Many times people would say to me that they're very upset with Moorhead Public Service. Well, what is it? Well, I get this tree fee or light fee or whatever. Well, that's not Moorhead Public Service. We're just water and electricity. And yeah, I think we should have a better way of communicating these things to the public. And yeah.
There are options, lots of options. I mean, we just sit down and look at what's feasible.
Okay, I beat that horse to death, although when I'm gone, promise me that you will still try to get somebody to answer the phone. Okay. Okay, item 9 is to approve the professional services for Sandman Structural Engineers. What, pray tell, is this about? William?
Travis is going to come up and talk a little bit about this. This is the structural analysis for the revisions that we're looking at to the old water treatment facilities for sludge and for a united MPS
You're
team.
talking sludge and we don't have Ralph here?
He missed out. Travis Schmidt, Electrical Engineering Manager. So this is probably 3, maybe 4-fold that we're looking at this structural analysis for. First of all, the existing rubber membrane roof that is on the site is actually about 17 years old. It's nearing its end of life. That was installed in about 2000 at a cost of about $63,000. What we're looking to do is, instead of replacing that rubber membrane roof, we look to put a gable roof on it, something similar to what matches the existing new water plant that we've got just across the concrete path between the two buildings. To do that for a little bit more uniformity. Also with that, we want to look at vertically expanding the site as well too. To do that, we need a structural feasibility study on what can actually happen with that building. They want to take into consideration the removal of all the water load that it was built for initially. They want to look at the sludge dewatering facility that is looking to be installed in part of that building as well too. And then just to see how high we can go with it and just making sure what they can do structurally with that building before we do anything moving forward.
Okay, questions or comments? Mr. Rogala?
A couple of questions for you, Travis.
Sure.
So you talked about a new gable roof. Are they going to then give you projections of what that would cost?
Yes, yep.
Okay.
All the costs to vertically expand it, the cost for the roof, making sure that the water division's sludge handling facility will be also all be included in those costs and what needs to occur for everything to happen, so.
And when I was looking at all the items they're looking at, I didn't see anything related to parking capacity.
That is included. We did talk about that when they went through the proposal as well, too. We provided them a bunch of maps and ideas and how we think it's going to look.
Okay.
So they'll look at that as well, too.
Good, thank you.
I would hope that in conjunction with this engineering study, that we are also in close communication with our friends in the city with regard to staffing and locations and where things are going to occur. Because I don't think that this commission, at least to the best of my knowledge, has made any decisions about removing ourselves from any current location. So,
Understood.
any questions, anything further? Any comments?
Maybe just one quick question. Travis, will we end up with a ballpark figure of potential square footage that would be harvested in this scheme of bills to see, you know, whether we have capacity? I had to call it scheme.
Yeah, they'll tell us like how many levels we could go up. Initially, one level for sure is what we want to go up,
Okay.
so that we can have more offices out there if something were to occur and we had to exit this building.
Is there a goal of
We
some
just really
particular
want to see
square
what we
footage,
can
or-
what we can do. I mean, they've got some wind loading concerns and things like that
Yeah.
they want to look at.
Right.
There also is the attachment of one of the reservoirs to the to the West Water Treatment Plant,
Yeah.
or the 1960s plant. So that needs to come into play as well, too. So there's a lot of things that they want to look at.
Well, and John asked a very good question with regard to the renovation cost to put on a gable roof as opposed to the redoing the flat roof
Yep.
kind of a thing. When they do this and say, yes, we can go up one, from a structural standpoint, we can go up another floor, 2 floors, whatever it is. Are they also going to talk about the construction/remodeling costs that are going to be necessary as a result of making that kind of a determination?
Yeah, we haven't talked about the internal remodeling or filling in of that building, but we'll talk about the shell of it, the roof of it, and then also looking at the cost of maybe leaving it a rubber membrane roof if we can't do anything.
Okay, what's the square footage of that when you go up another floor?
I don't know off the top of my head.
Yeah, I'm not sure what, off the top of my head, I don't know what it is.
Oh, okay.
The 1950s structure, I mean, I probably got it here somewhere, but I don't have it on top of my head.
Yeah, the age doesn't have much to do with the
Yeah.
square footage,
No.
of course.
Yeah.
I mean, I just
Well, we
wonder what
can-
the footprint is if we're going up another.
We can provide you with a square footage. I
Thank
just
you.
have to go look at a
I mean, the
drawing.
footprint is roughly the same size as one floor of City Hall. So, I mean, right now, we occupy about 3/4 of one floor of City Hall. Going up one story would be about, one City Hall floor.
What is your assessment then of need? What kind of space are you saying that we need to plan for the next 40 years?
Well, I mean, I think that's going to be part of the study. I mean, it's taking a look at that.
It'll help us make the decision on whether we expand it vertically or we look to do something else if necessary.
And it's complicated a bit also by, what we're going to do with our customer service function, because our customer service function needs to be accessible to people. So that may not necessarily be on the 3rd floor, so we're looking at other options
Not be
to
on the 3rd floor.
have them on the main floor. Yeah. So, I mean, there's other things that we're looking at, including, we have a garage right now that's just to the south, right across from Buffalo Wild Wings.
Right.
That would become the customer service center. And it might work out really well from a physical security standpoint to use that as a meeting point for guests to our facilities. But again, we're just in the early stages of trying to determine if that will work well. So, it's not a simple square foot answer, it's functionality as well. And I mean, I think we're asking ourselves too, what our customer service focus is going to be. And I think the earlier discussion is helpful with that, because there's a lot of utilities that are going to call centers and not having a human taking payments and that type of thing. We're feeling like, because we are a municipal utility, we provide these municipal services that we are going to keep our human presence, if you will, doing payments at a window type of scenario, and that customer service center may work out very well for that.
I'm going to go back to my earlier comments about not comparing us with other utilities and the fact that we are owned by the public, the city of Moorhead, if you will. And from a customer service standpoint, we should be doing things that are different and more acclimated toward our customers. And I say that across the board. And otherwise, all of this culture, and I see Jerry's here and he's going to be talking about culture in a little while, all of these culture things are rather unimportant if we're not providing the level of customer service that we should be providing. So the focus should be on our customer and how we can best serve our customer. And quite frankly, if we are...
A tornado watch has been issued.
Well, that's
for
good
your
to know.
location.
That's interesting.
Thank God for iPads. So, anyway,
Some way to be in.
and I've tried to turn that off. just so
Somebody
you
needs
know.
to check that out.
Yeah,
probably.
Yeah.
But I mean, I think it's very important that we very seriously look at that. And again, I think that the communication between the city and our staff, and quite frankly, the commission, I mean, you're talking about making some huge policy decisions here. And those are things that there better be a buy-in from the commission before we spend a whole lot of money going off in different directions.
Well, and from a
Get consultants to tell you just virtually anything.
Yep.
And for a price. And to that extent, what is it that we need and what is it that we want?
Right.
And that's where you've got to start. You've got to have a focus.
Well, and I think, it is a good time to be talking about collaboration with the city, the fact that we are all on one bill. There's a lot of services that are provided on that bill. There's a perception that Moorhead Public Service provides all those services. So does the customer service center basically be the one-stop shop for all those services? I mean, because that's not what we have right now. So I think it's going to be a long conversation that we need to have as we go through this. But I think there are some opportunities with that customer service center. I mean, if you look at the building right north of Buffalo Wild Wings, that's where basically all the customers would come into. And, we are looking at what other utilities are doing. And it's really interesting to me that XL Energy in Fargo, North Dakota does not have any place where you can go and see a person and pay your bill. They have to make a call, send their payment down to Minneapolis. Now, I'm not saying that's what we should do, but I think if you talk to a millennial, they'll say that's what I expect to do. I don't expect to go in and see anybody. Do they want to? I've talked to millennials, they say, I don't even want to. So, I mean, there's a generational thing here as well. So, I mean, I think we're having those conversations. I think it's a good conversation. But I think we have an opportunity, too, and I think working with the city, and we'll continue to have those conversations, there may be an opportunity here that we can really provide some nice service in this location. We'll see.
Again, I think it's important that you have a buy-in with the commission as well.
I mean, if you come and look at where our lobby is right now, it's not the most customer-friendly place to be. It's small. It's all bulletproof glass. I mean, our customer service people are friendly, but it's not the most friendly place to be.
Nor is our phone system. Heidi?
Touche.
Something that the city prides itself on is being a one-stop shop. We have all of the different departments located in the same vicinity, so if somebody has a question, a potential new business, looking to talk to somebody from neighborhood services or planning or city manager, we're all in the same place. So the idea that our customer service might move to a different location outside of City Hall, I don't know how well that would work. The point, though, is collaborating with City Hall because we want to continue to be that one-stop shop, and that includes MPS as well. So if we have potential businesses or clients that are looking to either move their business, build their business in Moorhead, wouldn't it be beneficial for them to be able to have access to MPS in the same building as all of the other departments of the city. If they have a utility question, they don't have to take off to a different building. They can talk to somebody in the same facility. So there are a lot of perks, a lot of benefits to staying in the same building. I don't want to speak for the council, but if I had to guess, I would say the appetite is not there to see or to approve MPS leaving and going off and doing their own thing in a separate facility. I don't see the council as seeing that very positive, because we want to continue to offer the one-stop shop, everything in one location. That being said, we want to continue to partner with you and to collaborate to come up with ways that we can share costs, that we can unite our customer services into maybe one same area. I would just strongly encourage communication with City Hall before you spend too much money on feasibility and how much it's going to cost to retrofit that building for 2 more floors or another floor. Make sure all other options have been ruled out before you go that direction.
Well, and I think we would definitely keep talking about it so that we can enhance the experience, not take away from it. But right now, if you are a business person that wants to have information on how to improve the electrical service or water service at your facility, you don't do it in City Hall right now. You have to go over to our operations center and talk to Travis, talk to Joe, talk to Chris. They're not located at City Hall right now. So part of that is already happening. So what we need to do is take a look at all those different, customer contact points and see.
Initial contact is there.
Right, right. Well, and that happens probably not on second floor. And, they end up having to go to our other location anyway. So, I mean, again, we'll have to just take a look at it, make sure we enhance it, not take a step backwards.
Thank you for your comments, Betty. So in answer to Travis's questions, personally, I don't have a problem with finding out structurally where that building is at, given its age, given what we're going to do here. However, I don't want to put carts in front of horses with regard to making any kind of determination whatsoever as to what the future direction will be. Did anybody else have any comments on the issue, or are we ready to? John?
I think we talked a lot about customer service, but probably the biggest priority right now is the sludge issue that we have to deal with, because the grand scope of the majority of the conversation was based on if and when the city will replace this building, which is unknown. But we know we have a sludge issue, and we know we have to have that done within 3 years or 5 years, whatever the case may be. So with that being said, I would look to make a motion to have this approved to go forward on determining what can be done with that building.
Not only is it a sludge issue, it's a roof issue as well, too.
Yep.
I mean, we need to figure out what to do with that. Do we make it aesthetically similar to the water plant or not? That's the big question. And while we're doing that, let's see what else we can do.
That's mostly aesthetics, though, isn't it?
Yep. So, but you still got to structurally see if it can handle the wind loads and things like
Yeah,
that.
I mean,
Shouldn't be a problem,
From a functionality
but,
standpoint, it could still be a flat roof and just be just as functional.
yep.
Because when you start adding the trusses, the cost is going to go up.
The big problem there is, do we spend $60,000, $100,000 every 15 years, or do we put something on that lasts 100 years? That's the question.
So you're going to tell me that if you put a gable roof on that building, it'll last 100 years?
If you match it to the metal roof on the water plant, there's
100 years.
possibilities of it.
Can you get that in writing?
We'll work on that.
Okay. Okay? Do we have a motion? Did you make a motion? Okay, is there a second?
I'll second it.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, the same sign. That motion carries. Item 10 is to approve specification and authorize the advertisement for bids for the South Side Water Main Replacement Project. Chris, what have you got to say about it?
Chris Knudsen, Water Division Manager. Just a brief background on this project and our efforts for water main replacement in 2017 here. This year we've been coordinating with the city in regard to water main replacement. Specifically, we're doing water main replacements doing a below-grade asphalt patch, and then the city's coming behind us and doing a mill and overlay project. One thing we're looking at in advance of 2018 mill and overlay projects is actually completing water main work here in late 2017 in the fall, and then the city would basically start the mill and overlay process once we're complete. They would start their mill and overlay in 2018. So for this project specifically, we're looking at basically giving the contractor the option to complete some water main replacement this fall or early in the spring next year, and then the city would follow behind us in 2018. The reason we're looking at that is giving, one of the thoughts is to give the city a little bit more time to complete the mill and overlay process in the calendar year of 2018. So we would basically get the water main replacement done a little bit sooner than where we're at this year.
From an effect standpoint, for people who end up driving on those roads that have been torn up one year, it gets to be a combat zone driving through Moorhead, and right now it's, I mean, you drive down 11th Street to go over to MSUM, it's amazing that you can make it through there. I mean, we're essentially leaving the construction zone open for 2 construction seasons when we do it that way, which might be very convenient for all the contractors, but, you know, the bottoms of people's cars are dropping out.
It's just like it'll be like 1 inch below grade in areas where we're going to perform replacement. So basically, we'll come in and do replacement, then we'll leave the asphalt just slightly below grade. So it won't be like right now on Main Avenue when you drive across 8th Street, it's like 3 inches below grade, and you're driving over it. It's pretty noticeable. These areas we'll basically leave that asphalt slightly below grade, and then the next calendar year, the mill and overlay will be performed. So.
What would be your projection for the condition of that pavement, though, by the end of a winter after snow removal and salt? And I know what our streets were like in some of those areas this spring, and it wasn't great. So I guess my worry is that a winter of freeze thaw, you know, material being put on the road, you know, plow blades being put on that road, that we're really gonna have an obstacle course by spring.
Well, these are areas that are going to get milled anyways, so I mean, we're going to leave it, the street's not going to be in great condition when we're done, but there will be asphalt, so there won't be any class 5, if you will, or construction material left. It'll be cleaned up.
Yeah.
But, you know, the one advantage is basically over the winter, if there's any compaction issues, that'll get taken care of.
Sounds like Zimmerman's problem.
Well, I mean.
As it should be.
Well, the areas, once it's all said and done, it'll look really nice. It's just
when
that,
it's done.
Yeah. It's just over winter. Yeah, there will be, you know, we're installing it with trenchless technologies. There will be utility patches every so often.
And I ask those questions just because a number of complaints I hear, as in, have you driven in Moorhead lately? Yeah. Heidi?
Thank you. You said immediately, or to start your presentation, that this has been an ongoing collaboration with the city, so
Yep.
I appreciate that greatly. It's nice to hear you start off your work with that. What does Dr. Bob think about this plan? Does he think the streets can take that kind of wear and tear? Is he concerned about it, or does he think it's an all right plan?
Yep. So it's a little unique, and we've never done this before that I'm aware of. So I had a couple meetings with Tom Trowbridge and Jim Schultz regarding this, and Jim was definitely in favor of doing this. It does give the city more time in their contract to work to get the street repaired to what they want to do in 2018. So they were in favor. I talked to Public Works as well regarding, you know, having some below grade areas over the winter time for snow removal. You know, they weren't really excited about it, but they were willing. They saw the benefit that it'll give for basically the contractors doing the street rehab work in 2018.
Okay.
So Steve, I kind of speaking for Steve, I believe he was comfortable with it.
Steve and Tom are both all right with it, comfortable with it?
Yep.
Chris, will you, or someone, will someone be communicating with the neighborhoods so that they will know that this is the plan, that you know, you haven't walked away from the project at the end of November? And
Yep.
left them high and dry or whatever.
So, for example, on 17th Street between 20th and 24th Avenue,
Right.
just doing constant, not constant, but frequent postcards saying, yes, MPS has completed their work. The city will now be moving in to do their work. So it's actually worked very well this summer. Basically, there was a 1-week gap on 17th Street between when we completed work and then the city moved in and started doing their work. So fortunately for the resident of that area, you know, they're having construction all summer, you know, what feels like probably all summer long, but at the end of the day, you know, utilities or the water utilities to replace the water main. The street is done, or the city has done street work and curb work and storm sewer work. So you really get a good product when it's all said and done. It's just,
That's the payoff. They won't have water main breaks and they won't have any of
Yeah.
these problems, but the street will be a little rough until next spring.
right. So we'll finish, you know, conceivably we'll finish in October. The street's going to be rough throughout the winter. We'll have to leave some signage out over winter and maintain it. But I think there will be a worthwhile benefit to be achieved.
And to whom will all the angry citizen telephone calls be referred to?
That would be me.
Numbers 1, 2, or 3 on our list.
Yeah.
This is my word.
Yeah, or Dave. Yeah.
That's my neighborhood.
You know, in the areas that do have high traffic, if you look on the map, 24th Avenue and 14th Street, we'll be doing full depth replacement there, i.e. there won't be any uneven pavement or anything like that. So all the patches and areas that are going to be disturbed, those are in residential areas that are low traffic. So any high traffic areas will just basically complete full depth replacement on it.
John?
In the summary, it was noted here that the city engineer and public works staff has indicated that the city would be receptive to this.
That's correct.
Maybe when you have such a unique program, any communication that you've had with them could be included in your report, so we can just be sure that everybody is in the loop here, both on the city side and on the Moorhead Public Service. It just might help the clarification for us, Chris.
Noted.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Could I have a motion, please?
Make a motion to
Approve
go
item-
forward.
On item 10? Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the same sign. Item 11 is to approve an amended policy on recognitions and memorials. Who's speaking to this?
Nancy and Jerry are going to speak to this one. This one is in our ongoing efforts to, work on the MPS culture, a united team.
So we're in year 2 of our culture initiatives, and what we're doing with this request to amend this policy is try to bring into, I guess, we're going to bring the recognition of what the culture champions have been doing, and just a refresher on who the culture champions are. They're a group of 9 employees from the 3 different divisions of Moorhead Public Service that have been getting together at least monthly for about the last year. So they've been engaged, and they're going through and bringing, or they're acting as the voice of the other employees, so bringing ideas forward and things like that. One of their first big tasks was the creation of our culture poster, so that's been included in your PACTIV, and so they've created the culture poster saying we want to be engaged, be respectful, be positive, be a team player, and be appreciative of others. Part of this action would be to recognize those culture values in a policy, and the second part of it would be then to take the things that they would like to do and the things they've been working on and make sure we can implement those and stay in compliance with state statute and the state of Minnesota auditor's statements of position as far as expenditures of public funds. So a couple different things we're working on. And one of the things that they would like to do, and I'll ask Jerry to speak on this a little bit, would be the implementation of a culture award that is awarded to employees that are really showing their culture values, and we do that on a quarterly basis and recognize them for their contributions in the culture perspective. So I will turn it over to Jerry to tell you a little bit more about the culture champions. We also have 2 other culture champions here that if you want to ask them how things are going or what they've been doing. Casey Saraki is also a culture champion, and Mark Pritchard is also. So we've got 3 of the team of 9 here if you'd like to ask them a few things.
Come on forward, Jerry. Introduce yourself. I don't know if we've had you speaking before. so
No, this will be the first time. Jerry Borman, Accountant HR Coordinator. This is the poster. We have them hung all over our facilities. We ask all our employees, when they're new, they get it. As far as we are, our 9-member committee, we met in the beginning of last year for the first time as a whole group, brainstormed a whole bunch of ideas of what we should be doing. Then they broke into separate groups for the rest of the year to try to get their own culture together. Now this year, we're going to stay together as a whole group and brainstorm more ideas. We took those ideas. The biggest one that everybody wanted was to be able to have a culture champion, someone that does these 5 things. We're going to have employees nominate that person, write a little spiel on what they do. We needed this policy to be able to do that. We have 2 subcommittees. One's the planning committee, and these are the ones that plan the activities for us. We do an employee Christmas party. Last year we did it at All-Star Bowl. Charged a small fee plus a potluck. That went really well, so they're planning on doing that again. They also participated in the Parade of Lights. They did the float. That went over well, so they plan on doing that again. The other one is they're suggesting now with Public Power Week is they want to have a little get-together out at the dispatch center, bring the families out there, show our equipment to the families, have a little barbecue, and that would be employees pay a little bit to do the barbecue part of it. So that's doing stuff without any MPS funds. With the Communications Committee, this is where the MPS Culture Award came into play. And we're kind of basing it a little like MRES does down there where they have their Power Award. But we're doing it at a lot smaller level. So what we're proposing is the employees will nominate each other. The group of 9 will get together, look through that, and either nominate or award 1 to 3 individuals each quarter. And then the next quarter, we'll have an all-employee meeting, award it to them. And in the policy, you notice that it was a 4-hour per person that they had to use for the halftime. We're also going to do monitors at each facility that will scroll that along with new employees. All employees take pictures so we have faces with people. So that way, everybody gets to know everybody since we're all separated. So we thought that was a really good idea. And then any other new or current events, we can scroll that on these monitors as well. These monitors just stay in the facilities. It doesn't go out into the general public. It's not like it's on the internet. The last thing we're going to do is suggestion boxes. That's a twofold thing. That way employees, if they want, can offer suggestions to the Culture Champion Committee, and they can also put their nominations in there. Okay. So that's basically what we've been doing.
Any questions? Any comments?
And I just need to say, Jerry is the culture coordinator, and he's kind of coordinating all this stuff, and he's doing a great job. If you know Jerry, he's got a real positive attitude, willing to jump in and do virtually anything, and really appreciate him doing it.
And everything that we're talking about here is in compliance with state statutes?
Correct.
Okay.
Jerry, you had mentioned the Christmas party and the Power Week. Some of the comments that I read that the staff would like to know or meet the commissioners.
Yes.
More on a one-on-one basis. Not speaking for everybody here, but that might be an opportunity for the commissioners to be present and cook or serve or something of that sort.
That is one of the suggestions. I haven't brought it up to you yet as a commission.
Do you really want me to cook anything?
No. I'd love to see you cook.
A lot of the employees were very positive on that.
Okay.
When I brought that up to them.
Okay.
Good.
Could I have a motion? I don't think it's necessary to talk to everybody else about this.
I'd move to approve the amended policy on recognition and memorials as presented.
There's-
Second it.
Thank you, Chris. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, the same sign. We're now going to go into closed session for a couple of different items in total. The meeting will now be closed for executive session. A, as permitted by Minnesota statute, section 13D05, subdivision 3C, to discuss a transaction involving parcel number 58307-0110 in the city of Moorhead, and secondarily, as permitted by Minnesota statute, subdivision 13D05, subdivision 3A, to evaluate the performance of the general manager. It is not my belief, especially since Rolf isn't here, that we will take formal action on either of those matters. So we will adjourn upon the conclusion of the executive session. Could I have a motion to go into closed session, please? All those in favor?
Aye.
We're in closed session. Thank you.